This video is brought to you today by Legal Rideshare. Whether you've obtained injuries on the job, property damage to your vehicle, wage loss, and even deactivation, Legal Rideshare is here to help. So, the unsurprising actually happened. All of you went out and cast your ballots and voted against yourself for your rights as human beings. I wish I could say I was terribly surprised.
You blew it! You blew it.
Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and you know what? I am not even going to ask you to subscribe to this video today because you know what? I sense a lot of you, and I mean a lot of you, are going to be pretty darn pissed when you're done watching this one. So anyway, on Tuesday we had this little thing going on in the United States called the 2020 elections, and it has definitely been quite something to see. In fact, it has been such a thing to see that I'm not even sure if the president is going to actually be elected by the time this video goes up. I mean, you got Trump saying it's a fraudulent election, you've got Biden saying he just shut up. You know what? I've got 5 words for you. Recount, only on HBO Max. Yes, that's obviously a joke, folks. Please do not send me emails saying that I'm actually asking for a recount. I see nothing suspicious about the election so far. However, here's the interesting thing. I've been going through this whole week, going back and forth like, oh, is Trump going to actually win? Is Biden going to actually win? And I find out, I actually almost don't care anymore because the one bill that I was extremely curious to see what would happen with was Prop 22. And here's the thing. Prop 22 has obviously been a major talking point for me. It has been relevant to the viewers of my channel. I would like to see Uber and Lyft be held accountable for some of the abhorrent ways they've treated drivers. I've been talking about how they've been treating drivers for close to 5 years now. I mean, it's about 4.5, but we're getting close to 5. And the amazing thing is, I've been so invested in this. Me and Dark Road Run did 2 live streams talking about the pros and cons of whether or not Prop 22 passing and the pros and cons of Prop 22 failing. And spoiler alert, in both those scenarios, Prop 22 failing would have been a much better outcome for everyone involved rather than if it had passed. And yet, despite the spreadsheets, despite the begging, despite the overwhelming amount of information from me and other people who talk about this and have been talking about this for years, saying that, trust us, it is in your best interest to vote no on Prop 22. What did you all do? Well, about 58 to 60% of you decided that, yeah, I'm gonna vote for corporate interest and against my rights as a worker because I want to be a lazy ass and clock on and off whenever I want. Seriously, I had people come and say, well, look, I want work. I don't want a job. You know what? Guess what, folks? You're grown-ups. You have to get a job, okay? And, here's the funny thing. I knew, despite doing all those videos, that, Prop 22 was going to pass. Not only because I have no influence on the election, clearly. I mean, this is a very dinky channel. It's always been a dinky channel, and it will probably continue to be a dinky channel until I get out of this gig share business. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. But we knew it was going to pass. Even if all the drivers voted no and all the riders voted yes on Prop 22, the yeses would win because there are far more riders than there are drivers. Interestingly, that's not what happened. There apparently were a lot of Uber and Lyft drivers who actually were watching videos like mine, who were reading articles and realizing, you know what, maybe we're letting these gig companies get away with way too much, and we're going to vote no, which, here's the thing, 60% isn't exactly close, but it's a heck of a lot closer than anyone thought it would be. It was a heck of a lot closer than anyone thought it would be. And after Prop 22 passed, the response was, frankly, a little disappointing. Not because the riders were on Facebook and Twitter saying, yay, we get to keep our free or close to free rides because the drivers were on going like, we get to stay independent, and hey, everyone who's complaining about this, why don't you leave us alone? We're just trying to feed our family. Which my response is like, okay, yeah, fine, you're independent. Now celebrate by picking up a DoorDash order that will pay you $3.50. Like, way to provide for yourself. And in fact, some people even came to me and they said, you know what? We are not fighting Uber. We are sticking it to California. We want Sacramento and Governor Gavin Newsom to know that we want to be independent. And you know what? You stuck it to Sacramento so much that Uber wants to take the Prop 22 passage and make it global. You stuck it to California so much that Uber's like, hey, look at that. We can get away with screwing everyone all around the nation. That's exactly what we're going to do, because now we know that people are willing to do it. And we can point to California because drivers there clearly want to be paid low wages, but hey, they could clock on and on whenever they want.
You blew it! You blew it.
And obviously, the passing of Prop 22 now leaves me, the Apptrepreneur, the guy who basically built his channel on discussing Uber first starting as like a DoorDash channel, then becoming a pro-Uber channel, then becoming a skeptical, then becoming a very anti-Uber channel. Where does the Apptrepreneur go from here? Like, what does the Apptrepreneur talk about anymore when the drivers who come to me and complain about their crappy wages and their crappy life and the abuse they take, and yet they still vote yes on a bill that gives Uber and Lyft free reign to kneel them over, flip their hiney in the air, and penetrate them in a very, very violating manner? Where does the Apptrepreneur go with this? Well, I thought about it for a few days, which is why this response is very late. Like, at this point, I think this video will be coming out almost a whole week after we found out that Prop 22 passed. And I want to start before I say where this goes, that, you know what? Hey, whether you voted yes or no, thank you for going out to vote. You should vote. It is a privilege to vote. It is an honor to vote. And even though with stuff that's going to be happening, this election is going to get a little spicy, maybe even a little annoying to a certain extent, you did your part, you came out, you voted, or you mailed in your absentee ballot, and you know what? That is a wonderful thing. So thank you so much for doing that. That said, you blew it.
You blew it! You blew it.
All right, we'll stop using that clip. Because here's the thing that I was thinking about in regards to Prop 22 in this channel. I kind of was talking to people who also run YouTube channels, who understand the business, and I was kind of saying, you know, Prop 22 might, in some ways, I'm not sure yet, but it might be my great season finale for Uber and the gig economy. I don't know how, but it might be. Now, if Prop 22 had failed, maybe there would have been a little fight left in me, a little sense that things can still change. Things can get better with the drivers. Like, you know, we can still get them to maybe at least minimum wage, which is such a low goal to aim for, but really that's realistically all we can expect at this point. But what if Prop 22 passed? What then? Like, the future doesn't look very bright at that point. Like, is there even any influence left? I mean, do the protests mean nothing at that point? What is the point of going to these rallies and these protests if the drivers won't even stand up for their own damn rights? What is the point of it all? The drivers who come to my channel, who leave comments, who complain about how they are unfairly getting deactivated, that they are making this bare scale below poverty wages, that their customers, the passengers, are treating their car like crap, that they are spending exorbitant amounts of money on gas and maintenance, who just want a little self-decency. But when a bill comes along that might hold Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and all these companies at least a little accountable, even if it's not the ideal scenario, they vote against it because no. They want to continue to complain about Uber and Lyft. They want to be free forever while making tons and tons of money. Guys, trust me, I drove during those years. Those years are never coming back. Uber is a publicly traded company. They have made it very known that slave wages is all they're interested in until they get the self-driving cars, which will not happen for a long time, by the way. They are not interested in helping you out. They're interested in helping themselves out, and you just voted against yourself. Now, if you didn't vote against yourself, I mean, great. I'm happy that you didn't vote against yourself. But then that comes with the other problem. Uber and Lyft have been abusive for so long that the logical conclusion is to quit and get a better job. Interestingly, one of the comments that was thrown around in message boards and Facebook and in my comments when people were upset that Prop 22 passed, they got responses like, or when they said they were going to vote no on Prop 22, people say, well, enjoy flipping burgers. First of all, flipping burgers will pay more than Uber and Lyft at the current state we are at. Secondly, there are tons of jobs that require not even that much skill that pay $3 to $4 more. Heck, all you people delivering Uber Eats, you can deliver pizza for Domino's or Pizza Hut, make a minimum wage, and collect tips. And somehow, this does not even occur to you to do this. And you might even get to use a company vehicle when you do this. Am I talking to anyone? Anyone listening to this? I've been saying this for a very long time now. So I've thought about this, and I've contemplated, and I have been thinking about this for a few days, and I've kind of decided that when it comes to drivers' rights, working in the gig economy, I think this truly is the series finale. Keep in mind, this does not mean I won't talk about Uber and Lyft as a company. I think they still need to be brought to task, and I think that because they are such an integral part of our lives, that they are still worth talking about. However, I think I'm kind of done talking about the driver aspect of this. I really am. I'm tired of talking to, having people come to me and saying, I got deactivated. What do I do? Hey, the pay is crummy. What do I do? Here's the thing. You don't stop. You don't get reactivated unless you're dealing with a lawyer. We'll get to that. And you move on from your job. But here's the thing. While I am still interested in Uber and Lyft as a company and what the stock means and whether or not they can truly transform the way we get around in transportation in general and what they might be making in the future, I am no longer interested in trying to help drivers who will not help themselves, for God's sakes. There are so many ways you can stick it to Uber and Lyft. You can quit. You can say no to propositions like Prop 22. You can write your congressman. You can not use these services. There are so many things you can do if you're unhappy rather than coming to me and other Uber tubers and bitching and moaning about it. But you won't do it. So when I see Prop 22 passing, I'm not surprised, but I'm kind of at the point where it's like, I don't even think, why am I putting my effort into this? I can't change anything. If you can't help yourselves, or worse, if you are unwilling to help yourselves, you know what? You deserve a Prop 22. So that's kind of where the channel sits right now. Uber and Lyft will still be a topic on the channel. However, we are not going to be giving one lick of attention to the drivers. We will not be showing any drivers getting attacked by passengers videos anymore, although I haven't done that in a while. We will not be discussing any rallies that drivers might be having. Every rally that I went to that was against Uber, go back and watch those live streams and see me talking to people. I would always ask the very basic but very important question, hey, are you going to go back to driving for Uber and Lyft tomorrow? And every single person at that protest would say, yes. That's like saying, hey, you know what? I don't like loot boxes in my video games, but I'm going to complain about them while I buy them. No, that is not how it works. You don't like loot boxes, guess what? You don't buy loot boxes, and that's the only way that they're going to not do them. But, hey, when you do it, they're going to go like, oh, you don't like those? Well, yeah, here's our money. Keep complaining. And that's exactly what Uber and Lyft does. They kind of just nod, knowing that, you know what, at the end of the day, you're going to go back. You are going to go back because whatever reason, you know, you don't want to have a regular 9-to-5 job. You don't want to live by society's rules. You think you're your own business owner. Maybe even you're one of those rare cases where you benefit quite a bit from this, or you really, truly need a job that, you know, is that flexible. Or you can get on government assistance. I mean, honestly, I respect that you don't want to, but that's what it's there for. And even to the people who Uber and Lyft does work for them, and they voted yes on 22 because it works for them, you know what? Yes, Uber and Lyft have done some majorly good things for people, but they have done far more majorly bad things. The cons and the abuse so outweigh the few good things that happen that at this point, it's basically turning a blind eye to the abuse. It's kind of like hearing that, you know, your neighbor's being abused upstairs, and you know you should step in and maybe try to help, but it's not really affecting you, and if you get involved, maybe the landlord will raise your rent, so forget it. Just absolutely forget it. And as for the drivers who come to me and complain that they're not making enough money and their acceptance rating is terrible or whatever, they have the typical battered wife syndrome where they keep coming back to Uber and Lyft over and over like, well, I'm sure he'll change. I just got to make it known. I just have to tell him that I'm not happy and I forgive him and I know it's not his fault and eventually he will change. No, he will not. He will keep beating the shit out of you. And that is exactly what is going on right now. Interestingly, even though we will not be giving much of a look about the drivers in the future, there are two things that need to be mentioned. First of all, I did record some videos in advance, so there will be at least 3 more videos that are driver related in the near future, so that's not going to change. But also, it is interesting that we have a new sponsor in the form of Legal Rideshare. This is the first sponsored video, and boy, welcome, guys. This was a very interesting one to begin with. But here's the thing. I think this is actually a great timing because with Prop 22 passing, you need a company like Legal Rideshare more than ever. These guys are rideshare lawyers. Now, here's the thing. People always snicker like, well, Uber's got me covered with an insurance policy. Uber will do this. No, Uber will not do anything to help you. It has been, you know, well documented. You don't believe me? Check out this local blog by one of my viewers who I'm sure is a little surprised to be seeing this. He writes a blog called Bent Corner, a blog I enjoy reading quite a bit, by the way. And he wrote a blog post about what happens when an Uber passenger damages your vehicles. Now, I'm not going to read this entire thing. I'm not even going to read a little bit of it because, you know, he's made it clear that he doesn't like his articles being read in full, so I will simply link to it below, and I understand that. However, here's the thing. The comment that sticks out the most is after I forgot if it was fender bender or whatever it was, but he got into like a little accident with another car. He left the scene and he called Uber and Uber didn't help him. And he says, the biggest mistake I made, and I'm paraphrasing of course, is expecting that Uber would have my back. No, Uber does not have your back. And that's why your lawyers at Legal Rideshare are going to come in handy. Like, what do? Well, let's go to their services. They deal with injuries you might get on the job, property damage. That would have helped, Rick at Bent Corner quite a bit. And wage loss. And they are endorsed by the Washington Post, CNN, the Wall Street Journal. And I've talked to them. They are great people. And like I said, it's just very appropriate that they have decided to sponsor the channel now, because now that the drivers have, for the most part, voted against their self-interest, they're really going to need Legal Rideshare's help. So make sure you check them out. And As with most lawyers, there's a free consultation, and I believe you do not get they don't get paid until you get paid. So that's always a wonderful thing. Prop 22 passing is extremely disappointing, and I'm sorry, folks, but I just had very strong words for you. Now, I know that my reaction to this is not going to endear me to a lot of people. Although my response to that is, if a crybaby can smoke in his car and complain about the whole world as if he's the only one that matters in it, you know what? I can be a little pissed at you for voting against your self-interest and telling you how it is. You guys blew it. We're not going to play the clip again. But going forward, I think you guys have proven that it's not worth spending my time fighting for your rights. You will not even fight for your own rights. You lack the two basic things to improve your situation. Vote for legislation that will at least give you a little bit of leverage, or quit and find a job which you will be much happier at, get paid better, and might even have some security. Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and Postmates topics will continue on this channel sporadically, but we are going to really dive headfirst into other topics. And for the first time, I'm actually kind of excited about that. You know, every year at the end of the year, you know, we do like a whole skit and we transition into the new version of the Apptrepreneur. And that means the Apptrepreneur 3.0 is coming in January. We're going to have another new redesign and the content is going to shift. I don't entirely know what we're going to talk about, and you know what? That's kind of exciting. I'm looking forward to making videos I want to make, and whether anyone watches them or not, the people who do, hopefully they will appreciate them, rather than me making a bunch of videos for a group of people who never seem to listen to any advice they got on how to improve themselves in a situation and aren't interested in helping themselves. So, you know what? That's where we are. Have a good day. Hopefully we know who the president is, whether it's a President Trump again or President Biden. I hope that they rule fairly and they represent the country properly. As George H.W. Bush wrote in his outgoing letter to Bill Clinton, you know what? You are now the president, and your successes is America's successes, and I am rooting for you. So whether it be Trump or Biden, I am rooting for them to succeed, whoever's elected. Anyway, I'm sure a lot of you have a lot to say to me, so comment below, and we will see you later.